Welcome back to Operations Unfiltered, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of influencer and talent management. I'm your host and your favorite marketing project manager girlie, Zarina. I've learned that sometimes the best connections happen when you're least expecting them. Earlier this year, I completed the Board Leadership Pipeline Program through the Associated Black Charities here in Baltimore, and at our closing ceremony, I had the opportunity to chat with a few really amazing people. These conversations sparked today's episode. Today, I'll be joined by Krista Grubb-Tracy, the Client Relationship Manager at the Dr. Nancy Grasmick Leadership Institute at Towson University. We'll be talking all things leadership, everything from navigating change and building authentic workplace culture to what it really takes to lead with both strategy and purpose. Krista brought so much insight and energy to the table, and trust me, whether you're an entrepreneur, a team leader, or someone who's just trying to figure out how to show up better in their role, this episode is packed with gems for you. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's episode of Operations Unfiltered. Thank you so much for joining me. I am super excited for this conversation, but first, before we get started, can you tell us your name and the company that you are representing?
Sure. My name is Krista Grubb-Tracy. I'm with the Dr. Nancy Grasmick Leadership Institute, which is anchored at Towson University.
Yes. Okay. So I have to give a little bit of a backstory. I met you at the Associated Black Charities graduation, the cohort graduation, and I loved the facility. I loved you guys' energy. And I said, you know what? I need to talk to you about all of the things that you guys are doing with this institute. And of course, I want to know the project management of it all. So,
Mhm.
how did you get started with the Dr. Nancy Grasmick Institute, and why did you start working here?
Yeah. I'll definitely give a little bit of background about me, and then also might be helpful to explain kind of what we do. So that way the two can come together and make a little bit of sense. So my background is what used to be in admissions at Johns Hopkins, the undergrad campus, and I really fell in love with community building and really helping people maximize their impact and their potential. So I wound up developing out the staff training there and then also creating an entirely new alumni group. So working with different stakeholders in the university to really put together this group of alumni from all over the globe. So I really fell in love with those two pieces. And so that's what led me to realize I really wanted to study leadership and kind of see the technical aspects of that, so to speak. And so I got my grad degree, my Master's of Science in Organizational Leadership. And when I was graduating, I was reconnecting with my old boss, Steve Kaiser. And he said, Towson just started a leadership institute. You might want to reach out and see what's going on there. So
The stars
thanks to
aligned
him.
there.
Yes, exactly. It was around the same time. It was only, I think, a year in at that point. And so I reached out, had some informational talks with the team members, and then realized, wow, I really am passionate about the mission and what they do, and it aligns with what I was getting excited about. And so that's what brought me to the Institute. And so now I am our client relationship manager at the Institute. So my role is really that community building. So going out and meeting people across the entire region and figuring out how we can uplift the region through leadership development. So that is
Oh,
business
wow.
development, that's connecting with prospective partners. And so I'm really out and about every day, which I love, but it brings me back to really how do we maximize everyone's potential, because our mission is to uplift the region through leadership development, which then will have stronger outcomes, stronger economy, and so forth. So,
Yeah, so like a holistic approach from all different angles. I love that. I love that so much.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
a client relationship manager, I know a job title can have so many different meanings. It can have so many different roles and responsibilities, but what does a typical day in the life look like for you?
Yeah, so it is never the same, which is something I love. So let me explain a little bit about what we do, and then I can explain what the day-to-day looks like. So
Yeah.
the Institute is not for profit. We are truly here just for the community good. And we have two branches, so to speak. So we have one that's philanthropic, and that is our ability to get sponsors who will offset the costs to run public 1 to 2 day workshops, breakfast forums, kind of that thought leadership for anybody in the community, no matter your financial means. So those are very low cost or free, depending on the event.
Hmm.
So sometimes I am helping running those events. And then, really, my bread and butter on the team is partnering with specific organizations to support their leadership development in-house. So that can look like organizations that already have leadership development or learning and development folks in-house and they need that extra support or specialization, to those who don't have that type of team in their office and we can support their leadership development. So the other half of what I do is I'm meeting with prospective partners, I'm helping run those events. So that's my 9 to 5. I'm either typically at one of those two types of events, and then in the evenings, a lot of times I am out and meeting community. So I am at networking events or at professional association events or what have you. So a lot of times, especially this time of year, I'm really out and about, whether it's at a workshop or at one of those kind of evening community events or breakfast events. That's really what my day to day looks like. And it is different every single day.
For sure. I definitely will say you are LinkedIn famous. I do see you a lot on LinkedIn. I see the stuff that you share, and I'm like, wow, you are out and about. You are busy. That's why I had to ask that. I just would love to see, I love to see both sides of the business, and I love to see how you and your role, you amplify both sides of that. I mean, you have your day job, the logistics, but then you have the networking piece, which you spoke to earlier, even which is how you landed in the job. So I love to see how that shows itself in every aspect.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean we're only 3 years old or almost 4 years old at this point. So really a lot of it is just trying to get the name brand out there, get people to know who we are, what we do, because there's still so many people that they don't know we exist. So yeah, it's really important to spend
exactly.
the time right now kind of on the ground, getting out and about and meeting a lot of people.
You mentioned that you are just 3 years old, but I did some research and you guys have worked with so many different organizations within that short time span. And I want to know what systems or structures, whether it's like communication plans, project plans, what do you guys use to help you scale to that amount of people in that short amount of time?
Yeah, so we originally started off by doing a lot of those public facing events I was talking about.
Mhm.
That allowed us to engage a lot of different individuals from a lot of different organizations in a very quick time frame. That also has allowed us to build kind of a community of advocates, which was surprising to us how that community of advocates has become one of our biggest supporters and wasn't even something that we asked for or anything, but these people have come to our events and really seen the impact of our work. And now the word of mouth is getting out there. So it snowballed very quickly where we started engaging groups of organizations through those public events. And then word was getting out and more organizations wanted to get involved. And then we started really diving in and developing those deeper partnerships longer term with organizations where we call it custom or in-house. We're doing that
Mhm.
custom in-house work with just that organization rather than the public facing side.
I love that. And can you talk a little bit more about what that custom engagement looks like? And I'm a process girly, so agile sprints are my thing. What does that look like from implementation or from inquiry when they ask that, hey, I want to work with you to implementation?
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of ways they can come to us, whether it's through a public event or meeting them out in the community. So once we have that initial touch point, if they're interested in looking more at what that would look like for a deeper partnership, I will schedule a call with them and we call it a needs assessment. So really
Love
getting an
it.
intake of what are some areas that they're looking to get that support? What are areas where they could see their staff really thrive and develop if they're given that additional support? Because a lot of people are promoted based on their technical skills, not based on leadership development, right? And so a
Soft
lot of
skills.
yes, exactly. So what are those gaps that that organization is seeing and what levels, what departments, kind of getting an intake of all of that. And then I will create a proposal that will say, okay, based on this conversation, here's what I would recommend. And then they can decide. We'll have another follow-up call typically to really narrow it down and think through the logistics side of it all. And then we'll move forward with actually implementing the plan. And then at the end, we will reconvene and debrief and we do post-event surveys as well.
Oh,
So
I love
really,
it. Like a lessons
yeah.
learned. I love that. The project manager in me is like, my heart is fluttering.
Well, yeah, because we're so young, we still want to figure out what's working, what's not, what does the region need. So those
Yeah.
are really important to us to figure out, are we having that impact? Are we meeting what success would look like for that organization. So that would be kind of the, for lack of a better term, endpoint to that process. But our goal is really to be a long-term partner. So we're not here for flash in the pan, one and done. Our goal is really to continue that development and have people continue to really grow their skills in different ways and have those tools under their belt. So we want to be a long-term partner. So that's the short process, but really long-term, our goal is to meet annually with these partners, reassess what they're seeing now after programs have already happened and how we can support moving forwards and create an annual game plan.
I love that. And based on the lessons learned that you have, this is something that I'm just interested in as someone who does lessons learned and carries out project plans similarly. I wonder, have there been any themes that you've pointed out or anything that you've seen as an area that companies really should focus on as it relates to leadership? And if so, what are like your top two or three themes that you've seen?
Oh, yeah, great question. So we're keeping up with what is happening in the market and even in the world. So,
Yeah.
the great gloom during COVID, and then we're seeing different things now. So we try to keep up to date and try to create opportunities for organizations and individuals that will meet that need. So, for instance, I know AI has been a big
Yes.
point of talk the past, I'd say, year or so. And we just held a breakfast forum where we had a lot of regional leaders come and talk about how AI and leadership intersect. And so
Yeah.
that's an example of something that we were hearing in the market. And so we wanted to try to create an opportunity. Or another one right now that we're hearing about a lot is we just developed out a whole program around smart delegation. So how do
Okay.
you,
Talk a little bit
yeah,
about that. That's interesting.
yeah, so we hear a lot of that people once they start, moving up and start becoming supervisors and so forth, or even C-suite, honestly, a lot of the times too, they have trouble figuring out when to let go, how to let go,
Yeah.
how to give the work to others. And they may understand that it's a way to lift others up and train them and teach them, but how do you do it? What are those roadblocks and how do we overcome those roadblocks? And
You know
so
what? That is, I didn't even think of that. Smart delegation. That is a topic, even, I work in corporate, that as someone who's a young professional, mid-level professional, I even struggle with that because I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, is this something that I should take on? I don't want my manager to feel like I'm less than or I can't, meet my potential by asking, is this something that I should delegate? So that's a great topic. That's a good idea. I need to be well aware of any events for like that. Please let me know.
well, I think we're going to be hosting it publicly next year. We're still finalizing our schedule, so I will send you a personal invite to that when that date
Yes.
and location, everything is selected.
I love that. Yes. Such a very important topic.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, to
Yes.
answer your question, we just kind of we were it's really important to have those debrief meetings, not only to know, okay, did we meet the criteria of what would be success for that organization? But that's where I hear those things. That's
Yeah.
where we kind of get those ideas. And we also try to connect with C-suite folks around the region on a continual basis to also get their insights too. But it is helpful to just kind of keep an ear on the ground of what is needed as the world around us right now. It feels like it's changing so fast all the time.
Rapidly. You blink and you
Yes.
miss something for sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, I'm excited for you to come to the public version when we have the delegation
I
one.
am so excited. And I was thinking here, there's a lot of C-suite and leadership. This is an influencer project manager podcast. And I know a lot of C-suite members are now leaning into being influencers and content creators while still holding down their C-suite job. I'm wondering if you guys have thought about any programming in that regard. If I'm shameless plug, I'm doing something with the Baltimore County Public Library called the Business of Influence and Content Creation. And I really would love to continue that conversation because, to your point, social media, the digital media landscape is really changing. And I'm just wondering, is there an appetite for that? What have you heard on that? Or is that even of interest to you all?
Yeah, great question. So, our content really is not field specific. So, we
Okay.
tend to keep things kind of evergreen, high level.
Great.
We did talk about AI, which is a little bit more, I'd say, specific than typically we go into a specific field, but just emotional intelligence across all industries, delegation across all industries. So that's not something we've necessarily thought about or dived deeply into, but we do think about the influence, not just social media specific, but the influence that you can have on those beneath you and vice versa, right? The middle level managers also have a lot of influence upwards too, and they often create the
Managing
culture.
up. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And so I think they're kind of a lost part of the hierarchy when we think about culture and influence and everything, because they're really the ones who set the culture because they're the in between,
Middle.
right?
Yes, the middleman.
Yeah.
I hate the word middleman. I like to say liaison. That's
Yes.
like a nicer phrase.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so a lot of our programming, that's one thing that we heard when we originally built out the Institute was there's so much support for C-suite. How do we support those middle level folks? So I don't know if that's something that you're including in your social media focus, but that's what we were hearing about 5 years ago when we were building out the portfolio.
That is something that I did not consider, but I will consider that now. So I thank you for sharing that. Look, I'm learning so much myself on this episode.
Well, with the influencer
Yeah.
stuff, please keep me updated because I'm trying to build the link, my personal LinkedIn, so that way people can
Yes.
stay upload of what we're doing because we're out and about all the time. So I want people to see what we're doing. So please loop me into that because I
Well, that's
personally
another reason why I wanted to meet with you because this is, I take listeners behind the scenes of influencer and talent management, but I kind of feel like you, as you're building your LinkedIn profile and you're out and about at these events, I kind of look at you as sort of like an influencer, at least on behalf of the Dr. Nancy Grasmick Institute, as you're sort of like a thought leader. You're sharing the mission and values and vision. So that's why I was like, this is the perfect person to talk to. Just in a different space. It's not the traditional Instagram and TikTok that everyone thinks about, but LinkedIn is really becoming a booming market. So that's the reason why I thought of you and the business of influence and this institute specifically, because just like you guys talk about evergreen topics, I do think that social media and influencing should be a broader topic because you are an influencer, for lack of a better word. So I
Oh,
don't know. I
thank
just thought about that.
you.
Yes, yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that actually, talking about influence, when I was just on a team meeting this morning, and one thing that we're really diving into is how do we leverage our advocates to influence others? And so it's
Yeah.
not only me representing the Institute, being out and about at all these things, but how do we get folks to, and how we create a process for folks to really talk about their experiences? Because we have these advocates informally talking about what we do. But one of our projects, so it's so funny you bring this up, is this summer we really want to focus on getting those stories from folks directly, because that's actually gonna be what I think is our ability to show our impact to the best, not necessarily
Yes.
what, me being out and about, but really people sharing their experiences. So I
Yes,
think there's so much power.
I am a fractional project manager for small business owners, and that's what I tell them. I'm like, yes, we love the services that you do, and I love seeing the behind the scenes, but those testimonials from people saying how good your services are, and those testimonials from people eating your food or getting their nails done by you, that's what resonates with other people, and that's what makes people continue to come to you. So the fact that you guys are leaning into the testimonials, I love it. I really am excited to see what kind of content comes from that. But more than that, I'm really excited to see how you guys within the institute, the leadership team, you utilize yourself as thought leaders because I love seeing when you guys post and take your selfies at the event. So keep doing that too.
Thank you. I will definitely keep it up. I'm going to an event tonight, so I will post one just for you.
Yes, get a ring light and get a selfie stick. And I honestly am so awkward. I used to feel awkward going to events and pulling out my phone and recording. But honestly, people want to see it. I want to showcase what I'm doing. I want to inspire other people to say, yes, you're a mom, or yes, you're a wife, or yes, you have a 9 to 5, but get out there and network because that is the best way to achieve your dreams. So get you a ring
Yeah,
light,
yeah.
get a ring light
And
for the
networking does not have to be as intimidating as I think a lot of people think it is. I was actually just having a conversation with my high school friends a couple of months ago, and one of my friends is a therapist, and she said, I'm intimidated by networking events because it's all these people. And I said, well, you talk to people all day one on
not the
one.
therapist. Oh, that's funny.
And I said, I see it the same thing. You're just developing relationships. Yes, you're in a group of people, but typically you're talking one on one or two on one,
Yeah.
right? So it's funny she said that. And the moment that she kind of reframed how she thought about it, she said, oh, yeah, I'm not intimidated at all. And actually, our other friend after that conversation is joining me tonight at the networking event. And so that completely changed his mindset too. So yeah, I think networking can be not
Oh no, it froze. Hold on. Oh no. There we go. We're back. It froze a
Okay.
little bit, but we're back. You see, it sounded like you became the therapist of your friend group for a little bit. That's so hilarious.
Maybe, I don't know. Normally she's the one giving us great advice, but
Yes, she should. She probably will send you an invoice. I'm that friend. I'm the girl that's like, yes, I'll give you my advice. Here's my invoice. Just kidding. Just kidding for all my friends listening. But as a client relationship manager, I want to go back to all of your things that you do. You say you manage events, you go to in-person events, I'm sure you have administrative things that you need to do. I am a project manager girly, but I need to stay organized. What tools or texts or workflows do you use to stay organized and keep things running? Because I don't know how you do it. It's too much.
yeah. We don't know how we do it either. That's actually, in addition to the testimonials, that's another project that we are going to work on this summer as a team. We really have scaled quickly. So, I talked about how quickly it was snowballing and the word was getting out there and our engagement, which was a great problem to have. But now we want
Absolutely.
to take the time to really sit down, figure out our processes. And we recently, as of December, brought on a new team member who is really spearheading all of our operations. So that was amazing. And she's a great addition. And so really now that she's onboarded and has kind of gotten to lay the land, how we want to sit down and really think that through. So I'm not saying we know everything, but right now what we do know is we've built out, mainly for me, Monday.com. And
Okay.
that's where I'm keeping track of my conversations. I'm keeping track of, okay, I talked to this prospective partner about XYZ, and we can maybe expect XYZ to happen this year.
Yeah.
Or I call them centers of influence, those people who are great advocates for us and will send people our way. So when was the last time I talked to them? Where did I see them? Kind of all of that
So
information
it's sort
is
of like a
housed.
client relationship manager type of thing. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because we have Salesforce, but that really we have to share it across the university, so we don't have a lot
Mm,
of ownership over the way it's formatted and used. So really, we only have that in there for the contacts, so that way we can send out our emails through the distribution list. But
mhm.
our really my day to day is in the Monday.com system that we've built out, and that's also where now I'm in the process of building out a content calendar for our team. So plugging
Love
those
it.
testimonials and getting that out there. So that's also where we house that too.
Okay, I'm excited to see all the content. I'm the content queen. I would definitely double tap on all your posts. So count on me to like your stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. And with all of these partnerships and relationships that you have, how do you prioritize and manage and figure out who's going to get what attention when? Is it based on what goals you have for the quarter? Give me the tea on that because, again, my head is spinning with all the things that you have to do.
Yeah, it sounds like a really high number. I think it's helpful to explain the different levels of engagement. So we have those folks who are an individual who came to a public session, and that is an organization engaging with us, but that's not going to have the same amount of time, attention, number of conversations, et cetera, as a partner where we are going in and supporting their organization of 1,000 people and their leadership
Right.
development, right? So my time is really spent on what is that organization's needs? Because sometimes organizations either they don't have the funding to bring us in-house, so they just want to send their people to the public versions. And so there's really limited conversation needed there. Maybe I'll talk to somebody about what programs might be best suited for their folks, all the way to having monthly calls with clients that we're working with and figuring out, okay, what worked last month? What do we need to pivot? What do you need? Those are a little bit more high touch point partnerships, I'd say.
Okay. Okay. So I like the customized approach you guys have.
Yep. And
And
we're here to
then,
help every organization in any way. So whether that's just, sending one person to our public programming, and we do cap it at 2 people per organization, just so we can serve the highest number of organizations across the region. So whether it's sending 1 or 2 people to that, or all the way to a whole intensive customized program for their team and organizations.
I love that. I'm gonna have to send some companies your way because I know a couple of people who have some C-suite executives that are always looking to develop. So I'll send them your way.
Yeah,
Um,
please do. Yeah.
And I want to know, based on the work that you've been doing, what are some of the common misconceptions that people have with either working with an institution like this or even changing their workplace culture? Has there been resistance, and how do you guys deal with that?
Great question. Couple pieces to that. So I'll first answer about working with us, and then I'll answer just more generally what
Mhm.
are misconceptions around leadership development. So because we really customize everything, I think people think we're at a super high price point, which
Yeah.
we are not for profit. I mean, we're part of Towson University, which we cannot be for profit.
Yeah.
So we really only charge our at costs. So that is something I think is a misconception. They hear the word custom or tailored or in-house and they think it's going to be a bajillion dollars because a lot of
Yeah. Alarms go up.
yes, yes, because a lot of times it is, but those companies tend to be for profit, right? So our price point is very different. So I think that's one huge misconception, or that we are only here for a certain level. We support all levels, C-suite all the way to those who are new supervisors. So we, at any industry too. We are not just here for education, even though we're anchored at Towson, we support any industry. So those are some misconceptions I think about us and our work when they just hear firsthand what we do, right off the bat. But then generally with leadership development, there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, about what makes a culture. And so we saw a lot, especially before the pandemic. We're going to put in a ping pong table and we have a great culture, right? They would talk about
Yeah.
those kinds of perks.
The
And
food. The food
yeah,
is always the perk.
we've got nap pods. That was really popular for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like those kinds of things are fine and dandy, but really a culture is in those consistent moments. And it's not just leadership, although it's important that they are consistent and they follow their values and they walk the talk.
Mhm.
But it's really all levels too. And it's just that consistency that builds culture. It's not these, small perks. And if you have a new mission statement, great. It's important to outline what is important to you and your values. But if you don't really follow through, then that also doesn't set a good culture either. So I think what sets a culture is often a misconception. People think there's kind of like band-aids to it, and that's
Yeah.
really not how it works. And so one of our goals is to enhance staff engagement, retention, and culture. And so we work with organizations a lot to really think through, okay, what is the culture you want and how do we get there?
So again, a very holistic approach. It seems like it's a very collaborative approach. And a technical question, because my brain is always going to the technical. Do you have sort of like, I don't want to say a racy model, but do you have an accountability model, meaning who's going to sign off on this plan and what does that look like?
Yeah, so it'll be different in every organization. So there's the logistical side, like who signs off on the contract, which can look
Correct.
very different from every organization to really how do we get that buy-in? A lot of times, one thing is if we feel that we may need to get that buy-in is having folks attend those public programs so they can see us in action, see our style, because our style is very hands-on, day-to-day applicable. It's not like leadership theory and in all these textbooks I have right next to me, right? It's
Yeah.
not like that at all. It's very applicable to the day-to-day, real tangible tools you can take away. So once people see it, they get that buy-in. And so sometimes the hardest part with stakeholders is getting that buy-in. So there's the logistical, who is going to approve this and all of that. But then there's also what we often have to think about is who actually needs to have the buy-in to form this partnership and how do we get that?
Okay, I didn't have that lens on it. And speaking of this, who is the ideal person who should attend these public events? And what's the ideal company, business that would be in the leadership development side of things?
Yeah, yeah. So our public programs are really for anybody who is a working professional. So every program that we put on publicly will say in the description, this is geared towards emerging leaders or mid-level managers, and it'll say who will be a good fit there. But
Mhm.
other than that, really anybody, any organization in the region, it is on campus at Towson typically. So you just need to be able to come to the Baltimore Towson area. But other than that, anybody can be a good fit for the public programs. For our in-house custom programs, the partners we typically work with are those who are, I'd say, medium sized to maybe even large size organizations, because those are the folks who really are large enough they would need that support, but they don't already have a team in-house.
Okay, so keep that in mind for any listeners if you are in need of these services. And can you give me some examples of types of industries you have supported in the past, just so that way people can have another example of if this would work for them?
Yeah, so we've helped government agencies, we've helped construction organizations, law firms, education systems.
You've run the
Yeah,
gamut.
we really have. Yeah, we're really here for, like I said, any industry because our content is so evergreen. It's not really too focused in on the what, it's really the how you are
Yeah.
as a leader, how you go about that those interactions and emotional intelligence and critical conversations, all of that kind of stuff.
And because of the work that you do is so rooted in that soft skill, how do you measure success or the impact of these programs once they're completed, whether that be the public program or even these leadership development programs?
Yeah, great question. So we do those surveys, which do give us sort of a numerical basis to go off of.
Qualitative. Yeah.
It's a Likert scale, and we also have some, you can handwrite some stuff in there, open-ended questions as well. So that is a more quantitative way that we're able to track it. But really qualitatively, when I'm in those needs assessment calls, I ask, what does success look like for you? And that really varies from organization to organization. So we want to make sure that when we're measuring success, when I'm in that debrief call, we met those goals. And like I said, it's going to be my conversation with organization A, those goals are going to look different than organization B. And so hearing from them, hearing the impact, and then also there's just the anecdotes too. Like we've long-term signature programs. So those are cohort-based, application-based. And one of those programs is our professional leadership program for women.
Mm.
So we just had our celebration. They just completed the program. And hearing the women talk about, I took lessons from this program that allowed me to get a promotion or apply for that position within staff center that I have been pushing off for years doing because of whatever reason, right? Hearing those
Yeah.
stories of the courage and the skills and the tools that they're getting from these programs,
Oh,
that
that's making
also,
me so
yeah,
happy.
I know we get chills. Our team gets chills every time we hear about the impact at these celebrations or just through the grapevine. Or also our other signature program, it's called Next Level Leaders. It's for those folks who are really high potential mid-level managers. And so one of the parts of the program is what we call a pod project. So they're looking at ways to enhance the staff engagement, staff retention, or organizational culture within their organization. So they find one way that they think that they can tangibly do that, and they wind up presenting it to their leadership, and it's often implemented. So we have a lot of stories about the impact and the ripple effect that that pod project has or is having on organizations. But one really good example is, I think it was our first cohort. It might have been our second cohort, but there was a woman named Lynn who worked at Under Armour, and she was not in HR. She was, I think, marketing, but don't quote me on that. But she helped to change the maternity and paternity leave process there.
Oh,
And
wow. Which is
this
very
is
much needed. I love anyone who does that.
Yes, yes. So she made this huge impact. And then I almost teared up when this year there's somebody also from Under Armour, and he said, I just went on paternity leave.
Oh,
And
I would have
it's, yeah.
cried.
And he was able to because of the changes that she helped to implement through her pod project. So that to us is also success, even though it's not measurable, but hearing about the way that these folks are really making an impact, people who don't even know that they're
Yeah.
they're the ones making the impact. Like that to us means that we are uplifting the region and doing a good job.
I love that so much. And to see that, I promise I would have been in tears to have heard that. That is so amazing. That's such amazing work. And I'm super excited for all of the work you're going to be doing. And you mentioned that you rely a lot on word of mouth. Everybody has their 3YP, the 3-year plan, the 5-year plan. Going forward, do you think that that will be sustainable to get you guys to where you want to be? Or do you have plans of amplifying your marketing strategy? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, great question. So I think we're taking it year by year right now, especially with all the budget cuts we're hearing about across the board. But
Everybody's getting budget cuts. It's
I know.
making it's terrifying me.
I know, but we're having our big 5-year anniversary, not this fall, but next fall. So that will be a really good time for us to kind of stop, reevaluate what our goals are. I mean, we have smaller internal goals, like maybe we can start implementing AI in a more strategic way, right? We've got those kinds of things, streamlining our process, but long term, I mean, we're really focused on making sure that we can support all the organizations in the region here in Baltimore and then expand. So that's really our biggest, I'd say, near-term goal. We want to expand to more of Maryland and help more of the region, but we haven't even fully tapped everything here in Baltimore and Towson area yet. So I would say that's our biggest goal, but I'm sure next year with our 5 year, it'll be a good time for us to kind of sit and evaluate, in the next 5 years, where do we want to go and how do we get there?
Yeah, for sure. And you've said so many proud moments so far, some that have given me the warm and fuzzies. But if you had to sum up your experience thus far, what has been your proudest moment since joining the Institute?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it was seeing the start of a custom project. So doing the needs assessment with them and hearing about what success would look like, and then seeing that ripple effect firsthand and hearing them say it was successful. And even to this day, I just saw one of the participants last night, and she was talking about how thankful she is that we did that. And this was 2 years ago at this point, and how it's still having an impact on the team. That for me is what drives me and keeps me going. And so for me, it was the first time I saw it from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just so proud of, for lack of a better term, like the product that we provide, right? So I'm really proud of what we do. And so being able to see it for the first time truly in fruition and the ripple effect, that to me was the proudest moment.
I love that. And truly, if I can't echo it enough, I really feel like those testimonials will sell the story of this institute because the stories you've told today already are like making me cry. I'm such a crybaby. So, like I said, I can't wait to read all of these. I will sign up for whatever newsletter you guys have just so I can see this. But I love reading stories like that. And that would make me, if I didn't already want to attend, because I do want to come to these events, but that would make me want to come even more because the impact that you guys are having. So, if I can put my 2 cents in, keep doing that, keep sharing these testimonials. They're making me cry already. So, and you mentioned so many good things, but what's on the horizon for the Leadership Institute? What's next? What's coming this summer, this year? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, so the 5 year anniversary is going to be a huge one for us in about a year. In the meantime, we are finalizing our public events for next year. So that will be, we've just got to get the space and all of
Yeah.
that. But once that's all locked down, we will be publishing that schedule in July. So we'll have a lot more rolled out next school year, essentially. And so that's definitely, if anybody is listening and wants to sign up and get engaged right away, come July, you'll have plenty of opportunity there. And then also one thing that I'm personally trying to do is really get involved in those professional associations. So that
Yeah.
way we can reach a lot more organizations quickly too, and really dive more deeply into the Baltimore region because it feels like we've kind of scratched the surface. So
Yes. I'm so
we've so
excited for
much
you
potential.
guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just so lucky to be part of something where there's just such a strong mission, and you can really see the impact. And I'm just really grateful to be a part of this because I think there's, it's only going to hopefully expand and grow, and we can really dive more deeply throughout Maryland. And as a Marylander, I want to help the region however I can. And this is the way that I can do it. It's building that
Ah,
community and having that impact through the leadership development.
I love that so much, and I'm so happy to support. Like, I'm excited to attend all the events. How can we follow you, the Institute? Is it LinkedIn? Where do we go to keep up with all the things? The Dr.
Yeah.
Nancy Grasmick Institute, Leadership Institute.
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So there's a lot of ways. I'm happy to connect with anybody. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I will post where I'm at every day, but also definitely will post opportunities to engage with us too. We also have a Dr. Nancy Grasmick Leadership Institute LinkedIn page. So that's another place where you can find information. And then also, if you want to get emails, we send out emails once a month, sometimes twice a month, that give updates of what's upcoming, or if applications for the signature programs are rolled out, you'll get an email about that. So that you can sign up on our website. You can learn more that way. And if you want to have a needs assessment call, please, you can either connect with me on LinkedIn and message me or email me. Happy to connect at any point and chat. I also love to grab coffee. So I'm a
Yeah.
coffee connoisseur. So if there's anybody who wants to explore the local Baltimore coffee shops with me, always happy to grab coffee too.
Do you have a favorite coffee shop in Baltimore?
Ooh, I'm still trying to decide. So I used to live much closer. So I used to go all the time to Morning Mugs.
Oh, okay.
And they're dog friendly, so I also love to bring my dog there. But yeah, was my favorite spot. But now I moved to the county about a year ago, so just trying to find my spot up here. There's always Averly Farms, and they just opened one in Timonium with the Diamondback Brewery, and they make really good pizza. So
Oh, okay. I'll have to add that to my
yeah,
list. Okay. I'm always looking for places
yeah.
to try out. I work remotely, so occasionally I like to go to a nice coffee shop. I love the public library, but I need to spice up my location. So I might have to join you for a little coffee date.
Yes, please let me know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to grab coffee and chat offline, and yeah, I would love that.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a great conversation. I will link to all the things Dr. Nancy Grasmick Leadership Institute in the episode description. But thank you so much, Krista. I appreciate you.
Thank you. This was wonderful to chat, and thank you for inviting me.